What's up everybody, it's sofreshdyamond. I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about a product that I have recently fallen in love with. Well, two products that I have recently fallen in love with. A few days ago, a few weeks ago, I went out to Sephora and I had to exchange the BB cream that I had because it was not my shade. And unfortunately at this time, the SmashBox BB cream does not offer my shade. So what I decided to do was exchange it for a foundation. I have heard many of good things about this foundation, especially for oily skin, so I decided to give it a try. And in case you are wondering, I do have the foundation on my face now. I do have a tutorial below of how I apply my foundation, and I do have another video which I was vlogging on how my makeup was when I went to a concert. So first off, let me start off by saying this. I am not a foundation girl, so I don't know too much about foundation, but I did have a couple blemishes here on my cheeks that I did want to cover up, so I decided to try foundation. I usually wear BB creams or nothing at all. I just recently got into purchasing foundation. This would be my second purchase of foundation. I think my first purchase was like 4 years ago and it was from MAC, but it broke me out, so I didn't want to pick up another foundation because I figured it would break me out again, but that's a whole nother story. And also I went out to Estee Lauder and I went out to MAC, and I wanted to purchase a face primer specifically for oily skin. I know when I was applying my BB creams or when I first used my Smashbox, my oil literally broke through the makeup within maybe an hour, probably less. So I wanted to get something that could control that, and I think I have found the resolution to oily skin. Well, at least my oily skin. So like I said, I went out to Estee Lauder and I decided to try the sample of the MAC Perfecting Primer. Now this is just a sample, but the full bottle retails at $34, which I do believe I'm going to go pick up. Now MAC also has a face primer that's supposed to leave your skin more matte, specifically for oily skin, but I did not like that face primer. I actually used it last night when I went to a party, and it actually left my skin a lot more oilier than what I wanted it to be. It did not give me a dewy look. I just didn't like it. Here is the MAC sample that I picked up. And it looks like that. Looks like little gel, but it's very greasy, and I do not like that. So I will not be picking up the MAC matte face primer, but this I probably will go ahead and pick up the full bottle, because when I wore this to the concert, oh my goodness, like my makeup stayed in place the entire night. No oils. Well, a little bit of oil. I could start to see a little bit of the oil try to break through my foundation, but I mean literally it was nothing compared to how my skin usually is when it comes to applying BB creams or foundation. Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. I am a color 4.1. I wouldn't say this is exactly my skin tone. I would say it's a little bit lighter, but after I apply a bronzer, a blush, and highlighting and all of that, it still kind of blends in pretty good. So it's not that off of a foundation color, but I wouldn't have went any darker. And to see how your oil reacts to it, that's what I would do before going out and purchasing this, because I think it retails at $42 and it is 1 fluid ounce. So now as far as the shades, I think there's a pretty good amount of shades, but of course when it comes to us African American ladies, we don't get the benefit of getting all different shades that we come in. So it wasn't that hard for me to find my shade, but like I said earlier, this is not exactly my shade. It is a little lighter, but once I apply my bronzer and blush and all this other stuff, it does still even out to be my skin tone and then blending very, very well. Did I say anything about coverage? Now, I think coverage is, well, for me, coverage is pretty good because I only have like a little bit of blemish here around my cheekbone areas from previous breakouts. It just doesn't fade back away. But I only use one layer of this and I'm pretty much set to go. Now, it is buildable coverage, so if you feel like you may need a second layer, then of course you can do that second layer to get more of a coverage. Now, this foundation did not leave me looking matte. I don't like that matte look. I don't like it when I see it on girls. So I made sure, you know, to ask the lady, now, will this have me looking too matte? And she said no. Well, not too matte, but just like a cakey look. And I feel like sometimes with foundations, if girls go overboard and they're trying to build that coverage, they can look a little cakey, but this foundation does not look cakey at all. I wouldn't say this lasts 15 hours, and I wouldn't say that because I haven't used it or left it on for that long, but I will say this. The day of the concert, I started getting ready around 4:30, and I didn't leave the concert until probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock that night. The concert started at 8, but I applied the foundation around 4:30, 5 o'clock. And from that time until 1 o'clock, my face was flawless. And I mean, y'all, like it was the Would You Like a Tour concert, and it was Drake, it was Miguel, it was Future there. So I mean, I was sweating, I was into it, I was having a good time, and I just thought for sure my makeup would be all over the place once I left, but that was not the case. I mean, when I walked out and I went to the bathroom, my face was just still beat to the gods. And this is how I know my face was still beat, because so many girls were saying, oh my God, your makeup is so pretty. What makeup do you use? Because I don't get how your skin, I don't get how your makeup lasted. I mean, were you sitting down the entire time? And I was like, no, girl. No, I wasn't sitting down. But, so the Smashbox, I will say, does last a very long time. Now, the girl who recommended this to me, she did say that it was really good for oily skin. I don't really know if it's good for oily skin, because when I used it without a primer, my oil, because I have severe oily skin, it broke through within a matter of an hour or so, maybe less. So I don't know if this is really good for oily skin. But I would recommend using this with the primer if you do decide to use it, an oil-free primer, and that specifically targets for us girls with oily skin or us gentlemen with oily skin. And I usually use the Sigma F80 Kabuki brush just to apply my foundation. I like this brush a little bit better. I know I told you guys in a previous video that I liked the Real Techniques blending brush, but I kind of like this better for BB creams. For foundation, I really don't care too much for it, so I don't know if it's because it just doesn't give me a good natural buff like, but it doesn't have my face looking, you know, evened like using this brush does. So I love using this brush. Now, I have wore this foundation probably about 3 or 4 times, and I wore it last night as well to a 70s party. I have not broke out from it yet. Overall, would I recommend this? I like it. I like it better than the MAC Studio Fix, and I am an NC45. I don't really like this because I feel like it broke, well, I know it broke my skin out pretty bad. And I could tell it was this because this was the only new thing I was using towards my face. But of course, this was like, what, 3 years ago. So this was my first foundation purchase. So overall, would I recommend this Smashbox Hydrating Studio Skin Foundation? Yes. I would recommend it only if you have a good face primer, especially for my girls who have oily skin. I can't really say anything about dry skin because I don't have that, but of course you guys know there are ample of reviews on here on YouTube, so you guys know you can just put that in the search box and figure out if it may be beneficial to your skin. But us oily girls, I definitely would recommend you using a primer with this, because otherwise it is going to give you more of a dewy look, but a combination with your oil, so it may not look as dewy. It may not be the exact dewy look that you're going for. Like, some dewy looks with me are okay, but after an hour or two it looks like I'm sweating. So a dewy look is okay for me within, you know, the first 30 minutes, but after that it looks like I'm literally sweating. So I would recommend this, but I would suggest you try a sample size first, and just to see how your skin reacts to it, to see. Also about this foundation, I feel like my skin can breathe. I don't feel like there's something crawling on my skin, and that was my problem with my MAC Studio Fix. I felt like there was something crawling on my skin. I felt like my skin was suffocating, and that may have been the reason why I broke out, because my skin was not able to breathe. But I do feel like with this foundation, my skin is able to breathe, and so far I do like it. So I'll come back a little later, I don't know when, but just give you guys an update on how I'm liking this foundation and any pros or cons that may come with using this foundation that I did not discuss today, that did not show up today. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.